Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. You just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strap in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Strap in, Purple Daily listeners, Vikings fans. This is going to be a meaty, long episode. This is probably going to be an hour plus here. So we got state of the offense. We got and many tentacles within it. We got Judd guessing the PFF grades, and you even have a branch off that. I believe we're going to be joined by the most passionate Vikings fan we know, Randy in Cottage Grove. Randy Vikes 69 for a stud stable. But let me just take a little chill in the air. I got a little rabbit in my throat, frog in my throat. Let me just take a sip out of this brand new 32-ounce Pepsi Justin Jefferson souvenir cup right here. That's right. There's even a QR code on it where you can scan it and you can enter to win Victor's Ride, a glorious Vikings-themed Polaris ATV. Jason from Egan won this thing last year, and the Vikings literally rolled up to his place, delivered it in person with Victor, with CJ Ham. There's the 2024 version on the YouTube channel. The Polaris Pepsi Victor's ATV. They're also giving away, Pepsi is a solo pizza stove and Vikings autographed merch as well. And all of this stems from the brand new Pepsi 32-ounce Justin Jefferson souvenir cup, available only inside US Bank Stadium right now. There's also a way that you will be able to get it outside the stadium starting soon here, and we will unveil that in the coming days. So go get your Justin Jefferson souvenir cup courtesy of Pepsi and show us your cups. If you get a hold of one of these things, tweet a photo at Phil Mackey, show us your cups. Very exciting times right now in Vikingsville. So state of the offense every Tuesday on this show. We have usually 4 different categories of themes or discussion topics, and we always start with where do the Vikings rank offensively in some key categories here. So yards per play. The Vikings are 5th in the NFL through 3 weeks in yards per play offensively. Points per game, so scoring offense, 3rd right now. I was told the franchise would crumble.
That's the most important one right there.
I was told. Offensive expected points added, so this would be in the analytics department, 9th. DVOA does not love the Vikings offense as much. 15th in offensive DVOA. Third down conversion rate. 3rd. I was told. Red zone touchdown conversion rate. 7th. And then turnover rate, they're still trying to dig out from those 4 turnovers in the first 2 games. 23rd, up from like 26th, I think, last week. I want to throw this at you guys for category number 1. It's a take. And I want to see if you guys agree, disagree, if I'm an idiot. So category number 1 is a take. I think Kevin O'Connell is currently one of the 5 best head coaches in the National Football League.
Well, I don't think that's a hot take at all. And you know what? I think just as importantly too, even more important might be, I think he's one of the 3 top play callers right now. Like, I think what's going on with Darnold is, if you think about it, like, you have taken a guy's career. I keep thinking of the word resurgence, but that means that there was a surge in the first place, and there has never been a National Football League surge to. I mean, he's resurrected him.
Well, his surge was
college
3rd overall pick was the surge.
But anyway, I would refer to it as a resurrection of a football career, period, because it looked like he had gone Lazarus. It looked like he was dead.
Well, a resurrection would also mean that one was alive previously. And to your point, maybe it's the birth. It's the birth.
And you're saying he wasn't? Well, I was giving him credit for being alive.
No.
Anyway,
you're saying.
Kevin O'Connell, I think right now, when you look at the current top play callers in the National Football League, I don't see how you don't put O'Connell among the top 3, and it might not be 3rd. I mean, I think from what we've seen right now, I think Matt LaFleur has to get a ton of credit, right? I mean,
yeah,
that week 2 game Malik Willis starts, and yeah, of course it's run. That's all they can do. And then he comes back and he orchestrates a win again. That's pretty damn good. But we have seen, and for those of us who are at training camp, we have seen like the Darnold plan, everything from the coaching to the play calling now, everything. This is what I sort of talked about with you guys a while back with Kirk, and it didn't work exactly like this, but it was close. I always said it's sort of a Frankenstein quarterback because O'Connell's trying to put his brain in your head. So you have the talent, he's got the brains. Can you do that? And
let's
in some ways,
make lots of money.
Yep. And they did. And so they married that up with Kirk, and it worked pretty damn well. Now, Kirk was a veteran, though, and Kirk also had his own ideas. Like, I don't think that you were going to completely run Kirk. In Darnold's case, I think that what we're seeing is big-time talent, athletically more gifted than Kirk for sure, but Kevin O'Connell's brain, and most importantly, until 15 seconds are left before the play, his voice is in Sam Darnold's helmet telling him what to do. Quick parallel here. Do you guys think, if you guys recall when Jared Goff, when McVay first got there, and Jared Goff took the Rams, and McVay did too, to the Super Bowl, it was a big story that McVay would survey the defense, and right before it cut off, he would have told Goff exactly what he saw. Mm-hmm. And that was a story. I feel like it's not been made a story of, but I feel like in some ways the same exact thing might be taking place here, where O'Connell is literally proving his QB smart. So yes, top 5 coach, but also I believe top 3 play caller.
So the play callers then: Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, Matt
McVay.
LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell.
And Andy Reid, is he calling plays again in Kansas City though? He gave that up.
Yeah, you're right.
So like game day play calling, he had given that up.
And that's where, there's play calling, but then there's just like general offensive tutelage and scheming and genius.
Right. But the play calling on game day, to me, is huge. Now, if you have Mahomes, you're probably okay allowing Joe Blow to call plays for him, and it's still going to work out. But the Darnold thing to me is, and O'Connell's been very, very specific in trying to attempt to deflect it. This is Sam. This is all Sam. But the reality is, Sam's been great. Sam deserves a ton of credit. Kevin O'Connell, though, on game day is doing a marvelous job through 3 games.
Yeah, I would say to answer my own take or question, like, is he one of the 5 best coaches in the NFL right now? Major recency bias here because I would be putting him up over guys who've won Super Bowls in the past, right? I mean, I'm putting him over Sean Payton. Last night, I think Doug Peterson's stock continued to fall. That guy has a Super Bowl. But I think in terms of how many head coaches would you, if you were starting right now, you've got a halfway decent team and you got a Sam Darnold or whatever it may be, which coaches would you take right now for the next 2 to 3 years? Definitively, I would take Andy Reid over Kevin O'Connell. I think I would still take Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan just because those guys, they're in the same bin of young, relatable, fiery schemers. Those guys have been to Super Bowls. McVay has won one, so I just think they're a little further along the path than Kevin O'Connell. Once you get past those 3, there's definitely an argument, like Packers fans, rightfully so, are going to say, Matt LaFleur, look at the work he's done with Jordan Love and Malik Willis. Right. Even, he gave Aaron Rodgers a boost when Aaron Rodgers was 36 years old at the end. I do think Sean McDermott deserves consideration. Now, he was on the hot seat like a year ago. Then they rattled off a bunch of wins. And now in the post-Stephon Diggs era, where are the weapons? They're figuring out a run game. Right. Buffalo is very well coached. I stand for Jim Harbaugh. We'll see what he does as they go forward in Los Angeles. Mike Tomlin, 3-0 again. Just every year you think, this is the year the Steelers are going to finally finish below 500, and now they're 3-0 and they're atop the division. But so there's an argument for a few other guys. Maybe John Harbaugh too. But he's in that discussion, man. Kevin O'Connell is in that discussion with all those guys and probably above a handful of them.
And I think the most important thing, though, is in the conversation about Shanahan, McVay, O'Connell is also age. Like, if you were to start a team right now, Reid is great, but I'm not taking him to start my team. He's in his 60s. McDermott's done a good job, but he's a defensive guy first. So like I am going with, if I'm going to start a franchise, which means I'm trying to clearly find a quarterback, I'm going to go with an offensive guy who I trust and who can do what that, it's pretty specifically from the same tree, what those guys are doing. So I think the coaching thing too, Phil, is like, not to shrink this conversation down, but I think there's an important thing here as far as stock up and stock down too, right? Like O'Connell's stock right now is sky high, but he's also proving it's not a fluke. Like it's not a fluke. And so if you look at like three weeks in, LaFleur has done something I did not think that would be possible. He has taken a guy they got essentially a week before he started playing. O'Connell has taken a guy that we thought might have some talent, but had been a flop so far, and created a colossal turnaround. So I just think that that's why if I'm starting a franchise, I'm going from probably that tree of McVay, Shanahan, O'Connell. Personally, not McDaniel, but he's from that tree as well.
Yeah. I mean, dude, O'Connell is now 6-6 with Sam Darnold, Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, and Jaron Hall as starting quarterbacks. How many coaches could you, hey man, we're going to give you Josh Dobbs, a journeyman who's been with 5 different teams. You know, he's an athlete, but he's a backup and a journeyman for a reason. We're going to give you Nick Mullins, who's one of the most prolific turnover quarterbacks in the league on a per throw basis. Jaron Hall, who was a 5th-round pick 5 minutes ago last year, and broken Sam Darnold. Can you go 500 with those quarterbacks? Check. Yep. 6-6. He's also 17-8 with Kirk Cousins, which you might say, well, of course, like Kirk's a veteran, rock solid, reliable quarterback. But all other coaches were 500 exactly with Kirk Cousins. And Kevin O'Connell comes along, and they didn't exactly have a great defense either in 2022. Credit to Kirk and O'Connell, the work they did together. So you're sitting here at 23-14 early in your coaching career with what, like a third of those games coming with Darnold, Dobbs, Nick Mullins, Jaron Hall, and he has a higher career win percentage than Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and Mike McDaniel, who's also in that sort of Shanahan coaching tree, right?
Yes.
So he's at some point you got to ride it to the playoffs. You got to get to a Super Bowl if you really want to be in that conversation. But a lot of really good signs in the first 2+ years.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, look what's happening right now with Miami. Like I like Mike McDaniel, but they can't win without Tua like that, and that offense doesn't function unless Tua is in it. I mean, they've had backup plans for Teddy Bridgewater before. They brought in Mike White last year. They let him go, and now that offense is lost without Tua. With Kevin O'Connell, not saying that it was perfect and everything was living up to par, just like with Kirk, but he's gotten wins out of Jaron Halls, out of the Josh Dobbs off the street. He can not plug in anyone, but similar to San Francisco, like same thing with Shanahan. He had success with Mullins, Beathard. Like they've been able to plug in quarterbacks and still have some semblance of that offense. Miami is lost right now without Tua.
I would defend McDaniel and even Shanahan by saying there is a level that you need. You need some semblance, and Tua rises above that level.
Yeah,
and I think Mike McDaniel deserves someone other than Tua that's above is it Skylar Thompson?
Yeah,
and he's right now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, Kevin O'Connell, like I said, 6-6 with a lot of transition type quarterbacks.
If Darnold gets hurt though, and you have to plug in Mullins, you might win some games, but it changes the entire thing because Mullins and Dobbs. So where the line is really drawn is this: are you able to not only process but execute what Kevin wants? And Mullins, because he's got the arm, but he doesn't allow Kevin's brain to run him. So that's the YOLO pass that kills you, right? Like that's that pass. Dobbs was just a quarterback, and it's why the Dobbs, in retrospect now, the Dobbs acquisition, knowing what we know, makes less sense. Dobbs never had the ability with his skill set to do what Kevin wanted.
But dude, people ripped Kevin O'Connell because, well, once he started teaching him the playbook, look at it, his play regressed. First of all, Dobbs this was like his 5th team. Right. He's not a prospect. He's just a random guy floating around from team to team.
Right. But that statement was true. The problem was he was never going to be able to execute. Like Darnold is doing something very important. Like I'm not selling him short. He is executing the playbook to perfection. So like when they went and got Dobbs as a panic move, and that first game, the Falcons game was fun, but the reality was once he started to say, okay, here's what I really want, Dobbs doesn't have the skill set to do that. Mullins probably does, but his problem is he's the guy who's like, oh, no, I'm really smart. I got an idea here. And it's like, no, dude, you're not smart enough to do this. Listen to O'Connell. Well, but so to back up Phil's point on McDaniel, I do think that there is a line that's drawn where it's just you can still win some games, but it gets to be torturous trying to do that.
Yeah. Another thing on KOC, and then we've got 3 other categories of state of the offense here, including state of Sam Darnold and some really interesting nuggets. So Mark Craig, your former colleague, you used to be the lead Vikings beat writer at the Star Tribune. Mark Craig's been
Seifert, then me. It was a glorious run.
Mark Craig's been covering the NFL and the Vikings for a long, long time.
50s. I said the 50s. Browns days. He was back.
Okay.
He was covering the old Browns back at the old stadium. Back in the 50s.
He does have roots. Is he a Cleveland guy initially?
Yes, he is, Ohio.
But he's had a great month because he did the Mike Zimmer sit down and got Mike Zimmer to cut open a vein.
Yes, he did.
And then he talks to Kevin O'Connell. And I'm just going to read you some of this. You guys can react to it. So the article is entitled, Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell unleashes his dark side when his team needs it. Viewed as a nice guy, the Vikings head coach has been showing more of an edge this season, according to his players, his assistants, and himself. And there's a section of this about that Cleveland joint practice, the 2-day joint practice, where on the first day, and Mark Craig raises his hand and says, I was one of the reporters that incorrectly thought Kevin O'Connell was telling Jim Schwartz, hey, dial down the physicality. My guys are getting their asses kicked here. And KOC assembled the media the next day and basically said, this couldn't have been further from the truth. I laced into my team at the hotel that night because, and not to mention, I knew they were going to be reading that they thought that I was telling the opposing team to dial down the physicality. No, we need to ramp up the physicality. And KOC didn't say this, but because the Vikings have been kind of soft in the first 2 years under KO, right?
Right.
So the article continues. O'Connell and Brian Flores talked after last season about the injuries and 1,000 excuses that we could have sought for finishing 7-10. They talked about the core ingredients that they would seek in any new player signed going forward to right the ship. Toughness, smarts, and loves football.
Let's go.
So if you don't check those boxes,
Yep.
Andrew Van Ginkel, Jonathan Grenard, J.J. McCarthy, Aaron Jones, if you're not tough, smart, and love football, you don't belong here.
Yeah.
Quote from Kevin O'Connell, I could have been the guy seeking comfort in all the excuses, but I wanted to make sure that regardless of anything, I could build a team that could sustain and win in this league based upon the core values of when you play against us, you will feel it. You better buckle up because if you don't, we're going to beat you with a lot more than passing concepts and trick them up defenses and schemes by flow. We want to be able to put the pen down and say, we are running right at you on second down against the Giants in the red zone, and we are going to walk the ball into the end zone.
Impose your will. Impose your will. That's what football is.
Men moving men out of the way. And then final thing here. This is from Kevin O'Connell. Quote, this is a layer to me I feel our fans need to know about, just so they know I have it in me.
First of all, Mark Craig, outstanding job. That was a great, like that articulated. He got O'Connell to say all of the stuff that we've sensed since camp started. And we have all asked him questions trying to sort of get that, right? Like you're tougher. I mean, I think I did say at one point, your team was not exactly the toughest team in your first 2 years. And I don't know if he didn't want to address it at a press conference or what. Like he would allude to stuff, but it was very, very clear when you have those guys in 2024 in pads as much as he did after essentially in 2022 training camp, he ran Club Med. Now that was the anti-Zim camp. So I think that was everybody loves each other. Let's sing Kumbaya camp.
Let's say hi in the hallways
Yeah,
and
let's
make
say
eye
hi.
contact.
Yeah, no fear here, no fear. And then 2023 was still a pretty soft camp. And the one thing too is, it's funny. Whenever a team has injury problems, we always act like that team had injury problems from like game one, right? Like Kirk went down in Green Bay. With Kirk, they got off to a 1-4 start. Now, was that Kirk's fault? Not entirely, but was that the team?
Nothing ever.
Was that a team that didn't? Oh, we had nobody? No, obviously not. So why did you start 1-4? You fumbled the ball. You got your ass kicked. That Philadelphia game in week 2, and it's intriguing in the Netflix receiver series where that's where the door closes in the locker room and O'Connell's screaming at the team. I mean, he's screaming, and they lost the ball 4 times. It was ridiculous, but I think it was bigger than that. I think he realized in week 2 we're really soft. I mean, that's the game where Philadelphia ran the ball down their throats. It wasn't just fumbles. I think it was a realization that they had built a team that was really, really good at flag football. And so, but what O'Connell said here to me is awesome. It's great. And Flores brought up, so I think where Mark might have got the idea as well was Flores brought up at his press conference a week ago Tuesday, Kevin's dark side. He's like, he's got a dark side. You guys don't know about it. He's like, I probably shouldn't talk about this. And I don't know if that was a plant where KOC's like, yeah, tell about my dark side. But anyway, he's like, he's got a dark side. And the thing about this is O'Connell also in that story, it's really good. He goes into chapter and verse, and he's exactly right, that he feels he can do this because he's built relationships. So he doesn't just come in and MF guys and they're like, oh, that's great. I never talked to Kevin O'Connell. But I mean, this is whatever the strategic shift here is, you guys, I think it's absolutely brilliant. And the reality is the first 2 versions of Kevin O'Connell's Vikings were never going to win a playoff game. This version is currently constituted, knock on wood, health provided, feels like it can win a playoff game because it's willing to pay the ultimate price.
Another sign to watch out for here, a soft team, because you're going to lose games. You're going to lose football games. In fact, the Vikings are underdogs against a really good Green Bay Packers team this weekend. They could very well lose that game. And I think at fans too, it's like, everything's going great, and then they lose. It's like, oh, it was all a fraud, right? And if you're sort of soft by nature, for lack of a better word, in the locker room, a loss can throw everything off. I mean, that 2016 team, the players hated that Mike Zimmer called them soft after their first loss, but the season spiraled out of control. Maybe that's the wrong word, but like, if you're a legitimate NFL contender, you can go and get your doors blown off at Lambeau this weekend. Sorry to put that out in the universe. You can dust yourself off, take a deep breath, make some adjustments. It's not going to derail your mindset, and you're going to push forward. So that's one thing I'm curious to see is, because it's great when you're front running and you're up 14-0 at home and the crowd is loud and the quarterback is flustered. But what happens when you're down 17-3? What happens when you lose a road game 31-17 and now you have to go back to the lab, right? There's another level to this that we at some point need to see in 2024.
And that's where I think my best guess is that's where the mentality going back to the summer and training camp kicks in. Because this is not just a game decision. Like, it's not just like, okay, week 1, we didn't have a tough camp, but we're going to go out there and kick ass. This is a philosophy. This is a lifestyle. The other thing O'Connell said that's important too, because it sounds silly, but anyone who's been around a football team knows it's absolutely true, is we've got to get guys that love football. There is no sport where more human beings play it because they're really, really good and they can make a lot of cash in a short time, and they do not love it. There is no sport.
On that line, do you see who's out for the season yesterday?
Marcus Davenport. Mm-hmm. And he's a poster child. And it sounds like he's hurt genuinely now, but yes, he is a poster child for dude is cashing a paycheck and does not love it. No question about it.
Yeah. Okay. Some great KOC stuff there, and we can keep talking about him throughout the week and the season. The second category is the state of Sam Darnold. And man, I was digging through early this morning, putting together materials for State of the Offense. And there's a lot of great Sam Darnold nuggets and statistics, but there's one that blew my mind when I saw it. Wow. We're going to get to it in a second, but at the beginning of this episode on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, you saw a glorious Roku TV. America's #1 TV streaming platform, Roku, now offers smart TVs. All the access to all your favorite free and premium TV, live news, and sports. The Mackies just purchased a 65-inch 4K Pro Series Roku TV a few weeks back, just in time for football season. We went to Best Buy. You can go to Roku.com and learn more or shop at a retailer near you. Glorious, beautiful TVs to watch sports. Last night, I had the Roku TV on, and I had YouTube TV open, and it let me watch both Monday Night Football games split screen last night. Just,
You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
You're crazy, man. You know who's crazy? Those pests, those little rodents, those whatever it is this time of year. The spiders, Judd. How do we get rid of them?
It's as simple as this. You contact my good friends, now my newest best friends at Spidix Pest Control, who came to my house because, full disclosure, I got a mouse problem. I got a mice problem. It's an old house. They get in, and I found out from my Spidix folks that they're scouting my house right now. Like, they're doing advanced film work on where to live in the winter. Hell no, I'm not going to allow that. And it just doesn't stop at mice, folks. We're talking wasps, box elder bugs. This is a great time of year to be outside on the deck. There's nothing worse than like when wasps are swarming you, and it's like, I want to be outside. Spidix takes care of them too, coming to the rescue. For right now, for Score North listeners and viewers, $125 off your first service by calling 952-333-8813, or check them out at Spidix.com. That's Spidix, SPIDEXX.com. They will come to your house professional, fast, courteous, and best of all, they're going to get rid of all those yucky critters.
Yes. Also, Nicolay Law is here supporting us throughout the 2024 Purple season, and they're supporting you and your loved ones if any of you get injured in an accident. So Russell Nicolay and his team, very proud to serve the local communities around the Twin Cities that they live in. They're just your normal everyday folks, the ones you see at the game, at the gas station. They just happen to have law degrees to help you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. So if you've been injured, get Minnesota's award-winning local injury lawyers. Get Nicolay at nicolaylaw.com, or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. Category number 2 here. State of Sam Darnold. We'll go through the rankings and then a couple fascinating statistics here. So PFF grade, Sam Darnold, 6th after 3 weeks. Among all starting quarterbacks. QBR, he's 5th. Expected points added, he is 7th. Traditional passer rating, he's 2nd behind only Josh Allen. Yards per pass attempt, 5th. Big time throw percentage, 9th. So through the first 3 weeks of the season, if you sort of add this all up into a stew, he is very much a borderline top 5 performing quarterback in 2024 NFL. Now, I mean, there's guys with legacies, and like Patrick Mahomes has a really low passer rating and all this stuff. So I don't think anyone is saying that, voila, everything about Sam Darnold's history has been fixed for good. But right now, the first 3 weeks in this system, in this infrastructure, with this head coach, he is a borderline top 5 quarterback. And guys, I was digging through this morning. I was on PFF among a million other platforms. And I saw this. Sam Darnold is the only quarterback in the NFL with a perfect passer rating against the blitz so far this season. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Football. A perfect passer rating through 3 games when blitzed. 80% completions when blitzed. 13.5 yards per attempt. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. We'll talk more about offensive line too. Offensive line, not amazing in pass protection so far this year. Pressure rates are pretty high, but against the blitz, it's a great combination of offensive line holding up and Sam Darnold confidently knowing the answers to the test.
And talent, and the talent around him to capitalize. And a lot of times, you guys capitalize quickly. It feels like he gets the ball out. There's not a lot of like he's got his reads, but he's not like trying to over progress. The other thing is, I'd be curious to know so far this season how many times the Vikings have been in 3rd and long. It feels like they've minimized that quite a bit. Dex,
I have that because this was something I wanted to bring to the table. This was something I wanted to bring to the table about 3rd and down.
God, that's great. That's great.
I'll look that up for you because I already had it pulled up.
Can you look that up for me? Because it felt like...
I'm not even going to look it up. I have it pulled up.
Just because in C.J. Stroud's defense, the Texans spent Sunday in 3rd and long constantly. And like fans are like, well, Stroud looked terrible against Flores defense. Well, part of that is if you're in 3rd and long as a quarterback, good luck. Like, you're not going to carve up a team. But anyway, Dex, I defer to you. What is the statistic?
So on the offensive side for the Vikings on 3rd down, which has been a really good sign for them. So 3rd and long. So on 3rd and 6 through 3rd and 15. So those are play propensities of 6 through 10 and 11 through 15. The Vikings this season have been in those situations 14 times. Okay. So 3rd and 6, between 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 15, they've had plays of 15. They have passed the ball 13 times. They have ran the ball once in those situations, and they have converted first downs at 50%, which is crazy. Now, they have had some plays of 3rd and 16 plus. They haven't obviously converted those, but just look at those ones, which are more kind of obtainable 3rd downs.
Those are must. The team knows you're passing, and it's gettable because it's not forever. Correct.
So it's these are weighty downs too, as I know that KLC loves to say. So weighty downs, they have converted 50% of 3rd and 6 through 3rd and 15 plays, and on 3rd and 2 or less to go this year. So the Vikings have been in 3rd and 2 or less 7 times. They have converted every time in that situation. They have yet to fail on 3rd and 2 or fewer this season.
Yeah. And that makes sense with a good team.
Mm-hmm. And that also, do you have run pass splits on the 3rd and 2?
Yes. So they have ran the ball on 3rd and 2 or less 4 times, 4 first downs. They have passed the ball 3 times, 3 first downs.
I've got more where that came from in a different category regarding Aaron Jones and the run blocking, but isn't it nice to be able to line up on a 3rd or 4th and short and feel like, oh, they're probably going to get this because the running back knows where to go. The offensive line can move forward. Those are fascinating. I don't know how sustainable batting 1,000 on those is, but that's not all luck. The stuff that so the 3rd end fairly long, opposing team knows you're passing. Those are the hardest ones.
Yeah.
And if through Sam Darnold, through pass protection, knowing the answers with the play calling, a couple more things on Darnold here. So when he's faced with pressure, so pressure and blitzing sometimes are the same, but oftentimes are not because a team can still get pressure even if they don't blitz. A team can blitz and not get pressure because you pick it up. But Darnold versus pressure. So when he's kept clean in the pocket, he has the 2nd highest PFF grade in the NFL. And he averages 10 yards per attempt. Keep him clean, and he dissects. And Kirk has been the same way across his career, mostly.
Sure.
When pressured, he still has the 8th highest PFF grade, and that's been a bugaboo for him in his career, a kryptonite. When he gets pressured, sometimes he freaks out. He can be a turnover machine. A listener sent us this nugget here, too. This is from 6 years ago. NFL.com's Lance Zierlein does the in-depth college scouting reports for draft-eligible players. And one of the nuggets that he wrote about was that Sam Darnold's completion percentage in college is unaffected by blitzes. He's a sudden processor when faced with free-running blitzers.
Football.
In college.
Which I don't know that that's how you would describe him with the Jets necessarily. No. He was mostly seeing ghosts in his own words. But when you give him the answers to the test, he remembers them when it's time for the test. Clearly, if you've got good infrastructure. And then one more thing on Darnold here from this is from the Purple Persuasion on Twitter. His red zone numbers. That's been an issue for the Vikings in the past, where they can get into the red zone. They're good between the 20s, or they're good on the scripted plays. But once you get in tight, can you still move the ball into the end zone and not settle for a field goal? You can say it, Judd. Go ahead. And if you want to rip him, go ahead. This is a free space.
What?
The old
No.
quarter. You got that. You got Kirk on your lips. I see that.
No, I don't. No.
I see it.
No. In fact, that was a Kirk
Was it just me? Okay.
offensive thing. No, that was a major point of consternation, though. You are
It
correct.
was. Darnold in the red zone through 3 weeks, 12 of 17, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions.
So
Pretty impressive.
I think that starts with one thing: the actual threat of a run game. Like, I think it starts there, and then it plays out. Like, there's a ton of credit, but it's funny because when a team can convert in the red zone and you see them convert, it's like, of course they did. Look how easy that was, right? Like, it's one of those things that looks so simple until a team doesn't. But I think when your starting point is you try to run the ball on first down and you lose 2 yards, or it felt like for the last couple of years, certainly. Last year, certainly with Zim, there would be a false start. Now you're moving back 5 yards. The Vikings' ability in the red zone in recent years, up until now, to shoot themselves in the foot was so high. And credit to Darnold for sure, but I think Aaron Jones, and I think the actual threat of, okay, this guy can score. And we saw it. That Giants game, I told you guys, I damn near started crying. I damn near started crying.
He bounced it to the outside.
He's headed towards the middle, and it's like, oh, he's going to go right in the middle, typical. And then he's like, bounced it outside, to your point.
Bounce.
I was like, oh, eureka. Oh, happy day. This is what you want. So I do think that the fact that you now have a balanced attack is huge here.
Well, let's talk about that run game and Aaron Jones. Category 3, the run game. So we'll keep doing these comparisons year over year, and then I'll give you another one of my favorite nuggets from the first 3 weeks. This is just a great sign for the Vikings. But last year, the Vikings were 29th in rush yards per game. So far this year, they are 13th in rush yards per game.
Yep.
Last year, they were 21st in yards per attempt. This year, they are tied for 8th in yards per attempt. Mm-hmm. So just major upgrades, a top half of the league run game in the first 3 weeks of the season against a couple really good teams. But this is probably my second favorite nugget of the week behind the Darnold blitz thing. So stick with me. This is going to get in the weeds a little bit. But
Football.
Success rate. They measure success rate on a play-per-play basis in both the run game and the pass game. So a successful rush or a successful play of any kind. A successful play in the NFL is 40% of yards required on first down, 60% of yards required on second down, and 100% of yards required on third or fourth down. So let's go to third and fourth down. For it to be a successful play on third down, you must convert to a first down, right? The goal is to convert first downs. Fourth down too. On a 1st and 10, if you can get 4 yards, 40%, 4 yards, that is a success. You've now, I don't know who made these rules, but it's widely adopted in the analytics universe and NFL.com.
That makes sense, yeah.
So it's because, you think about it, it's 1st and 10. If we can get 4 yards, now we're set up in 2nd and manageable, 2nd and 6. And then if we can so on 2nd and 10, let's say your first pass is incomplete, now it's 2nd and 10. You're looking to get in 3rd and reasonable. So they're saying, 60% of yards on second down would be a nice little 6-yard gain to put yourself in 3rd and 4, right? So I say all that to give you this. Aaron Jones has a 64% success rate on his runs so far this season. Not a fluke, because it was 62% last year with the Packers. And career, it's like close to 60%.
Yep.
Adrian Peterson's career success rate on runs is 45%. Again, Jones, 64% this year. Peterson, career, 45%. Famine, feast also.
Right.
But Dalvin Cook, career success rate, 48%. Aaron Jones, again, 64% this year, 62% last year. The Vikings' all-time single-season record for a running back success rate is Dalvin Cook in 2020 at 54%. So, again, it's been 3 weeks, but Aaron Jones, in terms of just getting chunks of yards is he the best at breaking an 80-yard touchdown run? No, Adrian Peterson's the best at that.
Tried to break one of 31 on Sunday, and poor guy
ran out of gas. Yeah,
he's just like
But in terms of, hey, we need 5 yards on first down.
Yep.
We need 6 yards on second down.
Yep.
We need a 3rd and 2 to Declan's stats earlier. Aaron Jones is awesome at it. And the offensive line also has been great at just moving guys off the line in the first 3 weeks.
Well, just from the run game standpoint too, Blake Brandel is such an upgrade, right, on Dalton. I mean, Dalton was good in pass protection, but against the run, not good or not great at all. Brandel's been great, but you know what? I'll give you the stat from Sunday that stands out to me, and it's 148. That is the combined yardage of Aaron Jones on the ground and through the air. He was the second leading receiver to Jefferson, 5 catches, 46 yards, and his touchdown. That's what stands out to me. That's what, I mean, they've got a screen game now. They've got a check down guy who you actually trust to get yards. It's not like you're panicked and it's like, okay, here's the ball.
And
it's
to catch the ball.
He can catch the ball. He can get yards. Like the 102 rushing yards that Aaron Jones got on Sunday is great, and that's a great game. But the reality is this. What I am looking for after watching this team forever is combined yardage. Because if you can catch the ball, if you can be a threat, there's one play, I believe it's the Aaron Jones touchdown catch. Okay, you guys? There's one play where Jefferson was in the backfield, Jones split out wide right, and he crosses the face and catches the ball. It's a wide receiver catch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are the things. If a guy can run, it's fun to watch and it's awesome. But the requirements in since 2006, I mean, it's been a long time. The requirements of being a complete back to me are so important. And may I argue that Aaron Jones is the most complete running back I've seen on this team since Chester Taylor?
Boy, Dalvin was pretty complete.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Dalvin was pretty complete.
Dalvin took a while to get his blocking up to snuff, though.
Yeah, Chester was super underrated.
Chester was
had a nice 2-year run.
Product, and certainly not a star. But, Dalvin came along eventually and got more complete. But I just feel like Jones is a pro's pro.
He is a pro's pro.
To use a cliche. Yeah, I feel like he's just a pro's pro.
Yeah, I'm not going to. We could split hairs on. Dalvin was awesome, and I think
he was
much more complete than Peterson. Yeah. If you need someone to just bust off a 70-yard run to turn a game around completely, Adrian Peterson's your guy.
Dalvin by the end, no. Dalvin by about 2020 was complete. Like, he was great. But the thing where I like in Chester and Jones is you plug and play them and you know exactly what you're going to get. Exactly. So, I'm just praising Jones. I just think that this has turned into, and I was like, at first, well, he's almost 30. He's got to be near the cliff and all of that. I think I was fully wrong. I think this guy is just a pro's pro.
You were very wrong about Aaron Jones.
Well, and I like Chandler, and
I've
want
never
him
been
to
wrong
play.
on this show, and you quite.
And
frankly.
I want him to play.
Yep.
But Aaron Jones, and in the locker room, that dude is fantastic.
Yeah,
he's normal.
Last category here, offensive line, and then we'll have Judd guess the PFF grades shortly after. So the run game, 179 qualified offensive linemen so far through 3 weeks in the NFL. So 179. The Vikings have 4 offensive linemen in the top 33 out of 179 in run block grade on PFF. The only one that doesn't sit in that top 33 is our guy Ed Ingram, unfortunately. PFF rates the Vikings as the second best run blocking grade in the NFL so far. So just Aaron Jones plus Ty Chandler in week 2 and an offensive line, Blake Brandel doing a great job. In pass protection, 173 qualified offensive linemen. This is some bad news. Only 12 out of 173 have allowed double-digit pressure so far through 3 weeks. Ed Ingram and Garrett Bradbury are in that group of 12 that have allowed double-digit pressures. The other 3 have been excellent in pass protection. So Ed Ingram, by the way, has the second lowest overall guard grade the second lowest pass protection grade among guards in the NFL. He's off to a bad start per PFF. I think there's a chance once Dalton Reisner comes off the injured reserve list. Like, it would be one thing if Ed Ingram was road grading in the run blocking game.
But he's not. Yeah.
But if he's not really, again, let's see what happens, and maybe the Vikings have a different view than PFF does. But
Yep.
I don't know that he's secure for the rest of the season, especially with Dalton Reisner coming back at some point. Something to watch there.
What was the Bradbury and Ingram pressures allowed on Sunday? Do you have that in front of you?
I think it was 5 each. Let me see here.
I mean, Garrett had a bad game, but I think his knee is jacked up too.
Yeah, they
Not that
allowed.
he's great, but
Bradbury allowed 5 pressures and a sack. Ingram 3 pressures and a sack.
okay, yeah.
So not that Darisaw allowed 3 pressures and a sack too. He's also
Those are some good
sitting
good
on the
edge
outside
guys.
against Daniil Hunter, and
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. But so that was a meaty, weighty
Football.
state of the offense right there.
We're converting first downs in that one. We were moving the chains. That was a
Some
99-yard.
successful
That was a
plays.
99-yard orchestrated, not a bomb, orchestrated chunk
Yep.
play after chunk play after chunk play, just getting first downs.
Giants
put
game.
it at the 1 and punched it in.
Giants game. Yeah, we just moved down the field. Matriculated, as the kids like to say.
Matriculated the ball down the
Matriculated
field.
Football.
Yeah.
Actually, the kids don't.
Joe, before we have you guess the PFF grades here, why don't you tell us about the tune-up that you're undergoing right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, this afternoon, I'm going to, boys, matriculate myself to Livia Weight Control Centers. You're like, Sports Dad, what's going on? Well, look at that guy right there. You know what? Sports Dad needed a tune-up. And so he went back. I am now 2 weeks in. My first weigh-in back, down 9 pounds. Down 9 pounds. Those unwanted pounds are coming off. And as always, I've received fantastic support from the counselors there. There's no judgment. There's no opinion of what you've done wrong. Only support. Join their nutrition plan today and get your first 8 weeks free. Plus, their medical offers weight loss medications for accelerated results. So take those pounds off quick. Just go to livea.com, livea.com, 855-GO-LIVEA. Livea, livea.com, and inside or outside the state, the whole thing can be done on Zoom. So if you are watching Purple Daily, I don't know, in Texas or Tennessee, you can join too. I'm just going to tell you right now, Livea works.
You know, there's business owners we know that consume Purple Daily, and we appreciate you. And we talk a lot about offensive line play and protection. That's what Federated is for your business. It's like having a great pocket, great protection for your business. Risk management, safety, preventing claims. Let the team at Federated help support your business. Federated offers a customizable lineup of industry-specific coverages and risk management services to help you continue your winning streak as a business owner. Find out more about what Federated can do to help your business, to help protect them like a great offensive line at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Okay. It's time for Judd to guess the PFF grades here from a Week 3 win over the Texans. Let's start. So we'll start with the offense. We're looking for the 3 highest graded offensive players and the 3 lowest graded offensive players. You get 3 total strikes.
Right.
And we'll set the line at 15 offensive snaps or more for this.
Okay. All right. Let's start with
I think you got this. You got this.
Let's start with the top of the table on offense. Aaron Jones.
Second, 78.5.
I feel like there's usually an offensive lineman in here, and there's obvious candidates, and there's obvious non-candidates. You know what? Sam Darnold.
Number 3, 73.5.
4 touchdown passes.
Slinging Sammy.
No picks. Yeah. All right. And so I got one more to get. Again, I always feel like there's one off the grid, you know, like a guy that had a great day blocking, might not have put up a bunch of statistics.
Yeah.
Brian O'Neill.
Brian O'Neill.
Yeah, I had a feeling I wasn't gonna go.
Incorrect. Brian O'Neill, let's see here. He had a 60.8
Can't be
PFF grade.
Darisaw because of the pressures. I mean, I think he had a good day, or a fine day, but I don't think he's. All All right, screw it. Let's just go with the skill. Let's go back to the skill position. Well, Justin Jefferson.
Number 1, 78.8 for old JJ.
He also, I believe, on one of those. I think it was was it the PI on Munt or what? No, on the Naylor touchdown, he threw a big time block, so he gets credit for that big time block. You don't see the blocks, but it's big time. All right, now bottom 3, or should we transition to the top of the table for defense?
Let's go. Let's try bottom 3 here for offense first.
Okay, Bradbury.
Easier for me.
Bradbury
did not make the bottom 3. It's strike 2. He was a 61.7.
He didn't make the bottom 3. PFF's wrong again too sometimes.
Yeah,
he had a terrible day. Ed Ingram.
He was good in run blocking, I guess, but
Eddie
Ingram also did not make. Despite being questionable. Yeah, the bottom 3, you nailed the top 3, so that's all that really matters. Josh Oliver, Ty Chandler, and Johnny Munt were in the bottom
PFF
3.
hates Johnny Munt's guts. They hate him. Like it's personal.
And Josh Oliver can be really hit or miss, where some weeks it's also his job is basically like get in there. So sometimes you're going to lose the battle in the trenches, and when your job is overly exposed to blocking defensive linemen and linebackers, you're going to get beat sometimes. So.
The thing I'll say in good old Joshy's defense too is that gets a little bit more intricate because I was trying to watch Hunter on Sunday, and there were definitely times where like Oliver would try and get the chip and pass him off to Darisaw. There's a fighting chance that they blamed the wrong guy for pressures. Because, like, you don't know. I mean, the team does not tell you what the goal was there. So, like, it's up to you to decide, but you have to decide who you find at fault. So that makes it a little dicey.
Yeah, you don't quite know how the sausage is made, and you know,
but,
PFF
you're
says they
guys
have
off, right? Like it's not just a straight up block; it's a pass off. It's a chip. It's you know.
If you're doing like an outside zone run or something, and it's like a wave, and you're kind of you're passing guys off.
Right.
Who's really at fault? Maybe it was that guy's fault.
Right.
It's tough to say.
Exactly.
Certainly wasn't Kirk's fault. All right, let's do defense here.
It'll never stop. It'll never stop.
Now my mission now is to troll the people that think that I stay up all night thinking about the Falcons.
Kirk's a flowery branch now.
I do.
All right, top 3 on defense. Jonathan Grenard has to be. I'm guessing he's 1. He should be 1.
He should be, and he is.
Okay, phenomenal.
73.6. 5 pressures, 3 sacks, 3 stop tackles. Those might have been the sacks. I'm not sure.
That was the easy one. You know what? I'm going to go with the guy that tipped the ball to result in the first pick that resulted in a Vikings touchdown. I feel like, despite the fact his stats aren't great, Harrison Phillips had a phenomenal day.
Harrison Phillips.
Okay, that's going out on the limb right there.
Yeah.
Ballsy.
He was not. 50.5 actually for him.
All right. Let's so we got. I don't know about the linebackers. Let's go secondary.
By the way, we're gonna set the line here at 20 snaps because garbage time allowed Theo Jackson, Jalen Redmond, Bo Richter, Taki Taimani a bunch of snaps that put them over the threshold. So we're gonna take those guys out.
Okay. This guy didn't play nearly as many snaps as he did in the first 2 weeks, and I want to talk about this, but Stephon Gilmore had a really good game.
He was close.
Oh, see now.
It was close.
PFF
played
there's
well.
Some mistakes being made in Cincinnati.
Well, he was targeted 6 times, 6 catches, but for only 35 yards. So it was like a lot of. He was right there. It was not much damage being done.
Right.
Only 5.5 yards per reception against Stephon Gilmore. It's pretty good.
And he didn't take a penalty. All right, so I'm down to my last defensive strike now.
Yep.
It's time to throw. It's time to. You know what? YOLO time. I'm going full Nick Mullins. I'm going to blast that ball through. I'm going to go Harrison Smith.
Number 2. 73.
Okay, now we're going. Now we're going.
Harry the
2-minute
Hitman.
offense. We got to hurry up. Hurry up. Like this right now. All right. So I got one more.
I think you got this.
Josh Metellus.
Oh, man. He was fourth. Cam Bynum, who had an interception and a handful of tackles, was third.
I feel pretty good about my performance.
Yeah, you nailed number
week,
one.
Struggled last week. Performance much better today.
At the bottom, actually, Harrison Phillips was one of the 3 lowest graded.
Okay. So
Byron Murphy Jr. was last, and then Jihad Ward was second to last on this. And again, so they played 21 guys, at least 9 snaps. A lot of that was garbage. So like Jay Ward was garbage time. Theo Jackson was garbage time. But
sure.
But they're still running even without Ivan Pace and even without Dallas Turner. They're still running 15, 16 deep with their main first 3 quarters rotation. So,
yep.
But that's a good job, mostly by the sports dad.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Judd guessing the PFF grades. I think our guy is here. Randy Vikes 69, the most passionate Vikings fan we know. 3-0 Minnesota Vikings. You can follow him on Twitter /X, Randy Vikes 69. How you feeling here today? Vikings are one of only a handful of 3-0 teams, Randy. We're ready for a stud stable.
Who called it? Who said last week we're going to go 3-0?
Judd. Yeah, Judd did.
Actually. I called that. Yeah, thank you, Randy. Thanks for the reminder.
So did I.
Oh,
that's right. Yeah, you both called it.
I said be ready because here it comes, and we're going to go 3-0. And I'll even just go ahead and spoiler alert. We're going to go 4-0.
Oh,
wow.
We're gonna
Are you gonna cry again? That's the question. When we last talked,
don't make fun of him.
You had become I'm trying to pull out the emotions that we felt last week. Are you going to, like, you were emotional? You had to hang up.
I feel like you're mocking him, though.
No, I'm not.
Jeff,
no.
you can poke fun if you want, but I'm learning to be, as they say, to let it flow a little bit and be in touch with every part. It's being a football fan is complex, just like being on planet Earth, and. What I've learned a lot is sometimes you just feel so much gratitude for guys like KOC that you just got to let it out.
I agree.
That's fair.
I agree,
fair, Judd.
I was not mocking you one bit.
Here's my question, Randy. I know you're banned in some places. Are you allowed at Lambeau? Are you allowed to make the trip down there? Are you going to go make the trip down there? Do they let you in the building there? How does that work if you want to make that trip?
The last time I was at Lambeau Field was before, of course, they ruined it with this big monstrosity of suites and screens and things. It used to be what they call a more of just like a football shed. It was a dump, but in a good way. If you have a few beverages, they let you really cut loose. We would wear what they call like a snowmobile type suit. And load up the legs with beers, load up the sleeves with bottles of schnapps, and then just you go in, you carry a far in your suit essentially, and then they turn a blind eye. They didn't care. Nowadays it's, from what I understand, it's what they say more corporate, expensive beers. If you kind of holster a few, crotch a couple bottles of peppermint schnapps, they get on you. They don't let you do that anymore. So it's not worth my time to go all the way out there if I'm going to be paying, $18 for like a light pilsner. No thanks.
Those are all valid points. I feel like.
I hear you.
So let's get into it here, Randy. The floor is yours. Assuming you have a stud stable prepared for Purple Daily here.
Bet your
Why don't you
ass.
take it away? Oh, wow. Okay, all right.
This is a week 3. Once again, a stud stable. That's for those of you who are scoring at home. That's 3 weeks and now 3 stud stables. And this one starts off really with a bang, with a guy who's now made his name in this town through 3 games anyway. And we got to hope that knee's not too tender. Daniel Hunter tried to sort of roll up on his leg. That's a Bush League move is what that was. Yeah. But this is the guy who this week threw for 4 tutties, as the kids called them, not tutties, 4 of them. and that's Sammy Deep D Darnold. Sammy, you're a guy who now for the third straight week is in the stud stable, and I don't know if that's a record, but it takes a lot to be in this stable 3 times in a row. First of all, it takes winning 3 times in a row, and then it takes performing at a high level. And 4 tutties, that's enough to do it. So Sammy Deep D Darnold, you are a stud.
We'd have to go back in the historical archives of the stable. I don't know that anyone's ever made it 3 weeks in a row. It's a great. Maybe Declan can look that up.
I'll look
here
it up for
sometime
you.
between now and next week.
Yep.
And here's a guy who, a lot of people didn't, focus on JJ Jed, as we call him, and kind of wonder what's going to happen with, Jordan Addison. Well, first of all, he got tagged for a Dewey, and that's fine. That happens to the best of us. I recommend a good representative in legal matters. I didn't have one, and it didn't work out well. But Jordan, with you on the shelf, we got a guy who just absolutely stepped up, and that's Naylor. Naylor, you've been the guy, you've been the man, sort of the accomplice to JJ. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, you've earned it. Whether or not Addison comes back and steals your thunder, he can't steal it this week because Jalen Naylor, you're a stud.
Yeah, we don't condone maybe.
Yeah, I was just going to say
representation is one thing. Maybe just take an Uber. Maybe just walk.
Uber works well, and they have it on an app now.
Oh, that's
they do. Okay. Oh, they do now.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
Uber. It's just Uber.com. And then cruising over to the defensive side of the ball, here's a guy who, he was in here week 1, and just the way he plays, I got to put him back in here for week 3, and that's Andrew Van Ginkels. Andrew, you're the kind of guy who comes into town and puts people on notice and says, you're going to know who I am. You're going to know who I am by the way that I play, the moxie, the fire with which I play. So Andrew Van Ginkels, once again, you are a stud. And finally,
should we correct him?
That defense is a problem, as they say. It's a nightmare for people. And there's one reason why. And this is a guy who, I don't care if you got to pay him, $1 less than KOC makes. Make him pay him $1 less. Give him the title co-head coach, whatever you got to do, but you can't let him slip away. Ziggy, Mark, if you're listening, you can't let him slip away, and that's Brian Flores. Brian, you've come up with a scheme now that has people coming up to you after the game and saying they were snug about your scheme. They were snug. They were watching your scheme and couldn't figure it out, and you got them snug. You got the opponent snug. You got the whole team snug. They're playing in and out of every single kind of look. No one knows what's happening. I know football better than a lot of people, and I'm confused watching it. I'm confused, and that says a lot. It says a lot, and that's before the drinks are even happening. Okay, so Brian Flores, you just keep this up, and I'm going to go ahead and predict we're going to go 4-0, and a big reason why is going to be this defense, because Brian Flores, what you've built makes you a stud.
Wow, and he's gone, just like that.
Do we ever tell him about Van Ginkel or just
No, I like Van Ginkels.
Van Ginkel?
What if he's right and we're all wrong? Has anyone? You're in the locker room. Why don't you go up and just confirm with Andrew? We've assumed it's Van Ginkel. Maybe Randy is correct on the pronunciation. I don't know. By the way, just going through his Twitter account, he's not tweeting a whole lot these days. But let's see. He has one tweet from game day. So snug in all caps. Sammy Deep D on September 15th.
Sammy Deep D.
Yeah.
September 9th, Andrew Van Ginkels is going to be pleased with the first time he hear a stud stable.
Excuse me.
It's going to be a stud stable week 1. Okay.
Huh? You guys thought I was trying to mock him. I wasn't. He was so emotional after last time. I was trying to pull out the why there.
Oh.
I was trying
I didn't get that
to
from
go
you there.
in depth on the why. Like there is an emotion there that was very touching to me.
That felt like condescending, Judd, to me.
Yeah, it did.
No.
To work on your tone.
Yeah.
I was trying to do that, sit down, where the guy gets,
okay, Tom Rinaldi.
the
Let's
pregame
calm
show
down a little
sit
bit
down,
here.
right? The pregame show sit down where we talk about the why of you feel so emotional about this.
Yeah. Okay, Carissa Thompson. Okay,
And don't forget, Kevin O'Connell himself, after the win against the Niners, became emotional, talking about Darnold at the podium. So we got a lot of very influential Vikings people here who are choked up.
It's okay to show emotion. It's okay to show emotion.
But you guys thought I was being mean. I wasn't being mean.
You're still.
I mean,
being
my name's
sort
not.
of
My name's
mocking
not
and
Jeff.
condescending.
My name's not Jeff. But much like Van Jinkles,
Excuse me.
I've given up on that one.
So there's your stud stable, week 3 from our guy, Randy Vikes 69 on Twitter. Be on the lookout for Trenches with Boone. Should already be on your YouTube and podcast feeds, Purple Daily, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And then Meat and Potatoes with Judd and Tyler Forness
Yep, he wants to
dropping as well.
He wants to break down the Aaron Jones receiving touchdown, because he's going to tell us how it exemplifies Kevin O'Connell's offensive system and the illusion of complexity.
Oh, the illusion of complexity.
We're going to get the illusion, because it looked like Jefferson in the backfield, Dalvin split out wide right. It's like, what are they doing? What are they doing here? Illusion.
What are they doing? You'll find out on Purple Daily. Meat and Potatoes.
He's our
later
man
today. So, all right, that's a wrap. Purple Daily, State of the Offense, Tuesday here. Tomorrow, write that down, predictions. We've got Thursday on the horizon. We just want the Vikings, the 3-0 Vikings, to win a Super Bowl before we die.